Okay, a friend of my channel made mention that she's currently looking for videos or watching videos that have to do with like cleaning out freezer, pantry, refrigerator, and stuff like that. And I've got a lot of that going on. With my leg issue, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do any of the monthly shopping here coming up. And that would be monthly shopping that would work for us throughout the month of January and the first 2 weeks of February. And I'm just not sure I'm going to be able to do that. Just starting to be able to bear a little weight and going in and out of 2 or 3 stores or even traveling more than 5 or 10 minutes doesn't sound like a good idea, especially before I actually go to the doctor. So yeah, I had some hamburger in the refrigerator for 2 days now. It needs to be used up. This is the second day. I'm going to make some spaghetti due to the fact that I had a half a jar left of spaghetti sauce from the holidays. We used this on January 1st for mozzarella sticks. So I'm going to use the rest of that spaghetti sauce up with this ground beef and make some spaghetti for a couple of nights of dinners. Okay, the spaghetti sauce is ready for spaghetti, so that'll do my husband, I think just 2 meals of spaghetti. We don't have garlic bread, and of course I'm not going out and buying any. So we're just going to do the bread with the butter and some garlic powder, garlic salt sprinkled over the top of it, and then just in the air fryer for a couple of minutes. I think it takes like a minute and a half. So I haven't done it for a while. We've just been basically just having meatballs with our spaghetti. Well, I haven't, but he's been having meatballs that I've made up. But to make up the meatballs, and that requires standing at the stove and checking on them off and on for about 40 minutes, and I just can't do that. So he's just going to get some loose meat in the marinara sauce, and then I saved a little bit in the jar for me that I'll just stick in the refrigerator door, and then when it's time to serve it, and that will be tomorrow, I was supposed to have it tonight, this evening for supper, and my leg was too stiff to walk on, and I was afraid if I walked on it when it was that stiff and then stood here and made this earlier this evening that my knee would pop out of place. But it's better now after some hours of ice packs and a couple of ibuprofen. So I've made this. This will just go in a bowl, go in the refrigerator, and then we'll heat it through tomorrow. When we make the noodles, I'll just heat this up in a small saucepan and pour the marinara sauce over my spaghetti. And then I found a bag of some spinach. I don't know if you run into this, but sometimes off the meal plan and off the list, you see something in the store and you say, oh wow, that looks good, and in the refrigerator or in your cart, and then in the refrigerator it goes, and then there it sits because it's not on your meal plan and it's not on your your focus of what you need to get ready for meals and stuff like that, and you might have put it in some place in the refrigerator, you can't see it, there it sits. Well, this is still in really good shape, so I'm going to boil this up. That's the way my husband likes it, right out of the bag, rinsed and washed off, and then put in the pot and cooked up. And then what he does is he strains the water off and he crumbles up either breadcrumbs or cracker crumbs and then has a hard-boiled egg with it. So that is the way that he likes to do it. So I'll go ahead and get this cooked up for him, and then we'll have that as a side with the next evening's meal. He'll still have spaghetti. I don't know how much, depending on how much meat he takes in the first meal, and then he can have this as a side. And this is another way that I used up things that were at one time in my pantry. I bought about, I think, 4, maybe 6 cans of pumpkin. Anyways, I went through them by making pumpkin bars last fall, apple pies for Thanksgiving, and I still had 1 can that was left. So I went back there and I got it, and I made, and I know my husband said he didn't want any more of these this year, but I didn't really want pumpkin pie, I didn't want pumpkin bars, and I sure didn't want to have that can sit back there all winter and all next summer until fall of 25. So I went ahead and I made some pumpkin muffins, a new recipe. I'll post it in the description. They look delicious. Still have to try one, but we're heading out right now, so I will try one when I get home, but they look delicious. I'll leave it in the show notes if they were or were not. And these are parsley cubes that I made, but I will add 1 or 2 to soup at the very end of making it. So I had this parsley left over from the holidays, so I just chopped it up. So you just take something like this, chop the parsley up, or whatever herb that you want. Just shove it. You don't even have to be neat about it. Just shove it down in here, and then slowly fill the trip with water, and then just set it even in the freezer. And then by, I did it at 6 o'clock last night, and by 6 o'clock the following morning, you have some of these. Okay, so I always call this my condiment pantry because this is where the condiments live. So the only place that I'll eat ketchup from, and if you don't know, I was born and raised in Canada, and I always tease that, I don't know, is there a Canadian out there that doesn't like ketchup? If you're a Canadian and watching my video, let me know. I can't really put it on everything that I did when I was growing up because I don't eat most of that stuff anymore as far as macaroni and cheese, but I used to love it on eggs, used to love it on macaroni and cheese. But of course, if I have I do eat a hot dog once in a while, and so I decided to buy Thrive a while back. It's very affordable. It's cheaper than most of the brands at Walmart, and it has low sugar, and I think it's 5 grams of sugar. Started buying it maybe, I don't know, let's see, 3 grams of sugar. So it tastes better when it's low sugar for me, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I started buying it maybe 6 or 7 years ago. It's the first thing I ever bought from Thrive, and I've been buying it ever since, from them 3 or 5 bottles a year. And my husband actually prefers it too because it's not sweet. I got this, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, some tomato puree, so I'm going to make some homemade tomato soup. And this is where we keep the applesauce for my husband's lunches and the spaghetti sauce. Here's some red cabbage and some pickled beets. We got some water, some of my supplements. My husband wanted to pick up some of this bone broth, so if either one of us would get sick, I wouldn't have to stand at the stove and make up some. I do have some now in the freezer all made up, so it basically would just be to grab it out of the freezer. I'm going to be making some more homemade tomato sauce. I have enough for spaghetti and lasagna. Well, 1 more big pan of lasagna and 2 more times the spaghetti, so I'm going to need to add this to the Roma tomatoes that I have in the freezer and the broth that I have made, and make another 3 or 4 packages of homemade spaghetti sauce. He has this with his salad. I eat just plain salad because, again, if you look at any ingredient panel on the back of anything, if it has onions and garlic, I can't eat it. I probably blame this on, I had malnutrition 3 different times when I was growing up before I graduated high school. My mom was a single parent, and, that happens. There wasn't a lot of money for food. So, yeah, I developed malnutrition at 6. I had it again at 10, and I had it at 14. So I think, it has something to do with that, and it also has something to do with the fact that I was an alcoholic for so many years. The enzymes were killed, or there wasn't enough to begin with, and suddenly when I was in my 40s, my stomach started to hurt. I had already been diagnosed with IBS and fibromyalgia, and they just couldn't figure out what it was. And then one day I had something with onions and garlic in it, and started having really big issues. I eliminated the onions, still had issues. Eliminated the garlic, still had it. Then we discovered it was celery, which needs a special enzyme, and a lot of the enzymes that you make are made by your pancreas. So then it was discovered that the enzymes that my pancreas is supposed to be making, it's just not making. So that eliminates a lot of food for me, but that's okay. Like I said, I grew up on meat and potatoes and vegetables and fresh fruit, and so here we are. I've been back eating like that since I was in my 40s, and I am in almost perfect health. If I wouldn't go out to a restaurant and get food poisoning, it would have been 18 years without an issue. So, yeah, I still count it without an issue, kind of, because I haven't been sick with a cold or the flu, and during the pandemic years, I didn't have any of that either. So, there's something in what I'm doing that's working for me, so I'm going to stick with it. We have a little tiny mayonnaise thing when we do go out, and like I said, it's a couple times a year. My husband likes mayonnaise on a hamburger or mayonnaise on fish. We sometimes go to a fish fry, so he takes his own. I've got some wild pink salmon in a can by Starkist. I've got some Weinke's. If you're from Wisconsin, you've heard of them. So I bought some of their pie filling last fall, so I need to I'm going to make some of these hand pies. They're just like almost like turnovers, apple turnovers. I've got puff pastry, and I'm going to be making those in the next couple of weeks because I'd like them I'd like to see if I can perfect them by Easter time. So I bought this at a farm stand. Some honey from a farm stand and some jelly, peach jam. I've got some raw honey back there. I sometimes will just take a spoonful of that, so I've got a backup. Walmart sells a whole line of these pickled things, so if you ever go into the area where they have like pickled beets and pickled onions and pickled everything, I mean pickled peppers and all of it, they have like a whole shelf full of this stuff, and this all came out this past winter. They had it at Thanksgiving time. So I bought some of those for my husband for his salads. He loves this type of spread for breakfast and that. I still just eat like a half a cup of yogurt, but he likes a sandwich once in a while, and he likes to spread this on or peanut butter. So there you have it, and then some Dijon mustard for cooking. Here we have things that were left over from Christmas. I made brownies for some of his co-workers, and then I also made homemade icing, so I had to have some cocoa. I made homemade peppermint bark, so then you have those little white buttons or whatever that you melt. I've got icing left over from our gingerbread houses. I eat hemp seeds, so we've got some of those from Bob's Red Mill, and behind them we have organic powdered sugar, and I've got granulated maple sugar, some gluten-free rolled oats. I'll share my friend's channel with you, but I think we can use these oats. She just made baked oats, or baked oatmeal the other day, and it looked really good, and I'm going to use these oats. If I can use quick cooking oats, I'll have to pay a little more attention to what kind of oats she said to use. Bird seed. So I just keep a supply of bird seed back there. We have a backup of egg noodles from homemade soup, and a backup of lasagna noodles and spaghetti noodles. So yeah, when I say working pantry, that's the pantry that starts up in about mid-May, the end of May. That's a working pantry. I go out and start buying from local farmers. I buy anything from eggs to meat to produce to plants, flowers, whatever. That's my working pantry. I fill up cupboards, refrigerator, freezer, you name it, with fresh goods. And I know a lot of people think that it's kind of a bougie lifestyle, or that must cost a lot of money. That's the cheapest way that I've ever eaten. So all of the stuff that I buy is way cheaper than the grocery store, way cheaper than any place. Farm stand, right from the farmer. Buy it in bulk. That's the only way we really buy anything in bulk anymore. And it's packed with nutrition. Some of it's organic, some of it's naturally grown. We also buy raw milk. We haven't bought that since last fall, but we buy that from a local farmer. Some plant starts, apples, peaches, pears, all of it. Locally here in Wisconsin. So much cheaper than going to the grocery store and any grocery store and buying produce. And it's right near us, so it's not like we go out of our way or travel a long ways, put lots of miles in the car, or have to have a whole lot of money. I budget anywhere from $40 to $60 extra a month, and most of the time I have $15, $20 left over. So, and then I just eat everything that starts growing at the end of May, whether that's just bean sprouts or a little bit of spinach or something like that, all the way to the end of the season when they're harvesting sweet potatoes. So that is what I call my working pantry. This is what I call my condiment pantry, and in the kitchen is what I just call my plain pantry. When I don't want to cook a whole foods meal, then or I need a comfort meal, I have a can of soup. Here's another way that I'm using up things that we have left in the refrigerator from the holiday season, so we can use those throughout the month of January and save us some money. So we had bought 2 or 3 bags of oranges back by Thanksgiving time, and we ran through all of those to get loaded up on vitamin C for the season. And then at Christmas time or pre-Christmas, I had friends drop off 2 boxes of oranges that they had purchased. They know that we like oranges at this time of the year, and we couldn't find any in our local Walmart. And then I think in one of my hauls, I think it might have been a Walmart delivery just before Christmas, I had more oranges, either that or an Aldi haul. So we had several oranges, we ate them, we squeezed them, and here we are using up, I think we've got 6 more in the refrigerator, and that gives us almost a full glass of orange juice. Make sure, this is probably, I've had a lot of juicers, and I don't even know what this brand is, if it's Eurolux. So I'm going to assume that I either bought it on Amazon or Walmart, but I've had a lot of different juicers, and this is the best one by far. So it gets your orange very juiced. You can have the pulp if that's what you enjoy. My husband does. And then a nice fresh glass of freshly, is it squeezed orange juice for the day. I had about a cup and a half of heavy cream left from the holidays. I was making different types of fudges, and so what I did was I took the cup and a half of heavy cream, added a teeny tiny bit of sugar, beat it on pretty medium-high in my stand mixer, and made homemade whipped topping, or homemade coffee topping. We use this instead of, my husband used to buy those spray cans or whatever, or Cool Whip. We did away with those years ago. We just simply, when we have extra heavy cream, or if we buy a little glass bottle of heavy cream or something like that at the grocery store, for a treat, we bring it home, whip it up on high with a little bit of sugar, homemade cream, no icky ingredients. And so that's how I'm using up ingredients left over from Christmas. And one lonely stick of unsalted Land O'Lakes butter yields me 24 low-sugar peanut butter cookies. And the last of the coleslaw dressing. We're not able to buy it anymore at our local Walmart. I had to order this, the beginning of December, and then I opened it up for 2 weeks in December before my husband went on break, and then again now while he's back to work in January. And like I said, it's we're just going to have to go back to the homemade. It's not sold at Walmart, and when it was sold at Walmart, it was pretty expensive. I think it was $4 something. So on Amazon, when I ordered it, it seemed like they were pricing it because it was expiring, but it doesn't expire for another year. But I bought this container for $3.50. So like $1.50 cheaper than at Walmart, and free shipping, so it was wild. But it's now gone. It's called Hidden Valley Ranch Coleslaw Dressing. So let me know if you can still see it if you go shop for it, or if you pass by it in Walmart. Let me know if it's at your Walmart. It's not at ours, and that's okay. Homemade is best anyway. So that's just basically mayonnaise, a little bit of vinegar, so probably 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, half a teaspoon of vinegar, a teaspoon of milk, salt and pepper, and then, a little more vinegar if it's not, tangy or whatever enough. But usually he likes. And if I don't have vinegar, I use pickle juice.